Well, with less than a week to go before a crucial general election in the UK, a fresh row has broken out between the two frontrunners over Brexit and the issue of the Irish border. Jeremy Corbyn's Labour Party accusing the Conservatives of lying about the impact that Brexit will have on Northern Ireland. Our Scott Mclean joins us now from London with more on this. And as we've been hearing Corbyn attacking Boris Johnson and his party over Brexit, he's managed to get his hands on some confidential documents which seem to show that Johnson's Brexit plan will be highly disruptive, especially when it comes to that Irish border.
Yeah, that's right, Linda. So this is a report from the British Treasury. It's marked sensitive, but it's also undated. We have reached out to the government, which has declined to comment on it at all, hasn't confirmed its authenticity or confirmed the date that it was actually written. This 15-page document, as you said that Brexit for Northern Ireland would be highly disruptive and that small and medium-sized businesses would struggle to bear the cost of it. Here's what Corbyn said about it.
In private, the government says something very, very different. It says there will be customs declarations and security checks between Northern Ireland and Great Britain. It's there, in black and white. It says there will be customs declarations, absolutely clearly, for trade going from Northern Ireland to Great Britain. The government cannot rule out regulatory checks, rules of origin checks, and animal and public health checks.
So Boris Johnson has responded to Jeremy Corbyn by saying that the only customs checks that will be in place under the deal that he has brokered with the European Union would be for goods going to Ireland via Northern Ireland. He also says that in the deal, baked in, is the ability for people in Northern Ireland to opt out of this deal after 4 years if they don't like it. Linda.
Right. And of course, Scott, when it comes to the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson has been accused of trying to avoid press scrutiny by turning down an interview with the BBC. But it seems that he's still expected to debate Jeremy Corbyn, right?
Yeah, so this particular interview request with BBC primetime host Andrew Neil has gotten a lot of attention because Neil filmed a video essentially challenging Boris Johnson to this interview, something that all of the other major party leaders have done. Johnson has declined, which has got Labour up in arms because they say that Jeremy Corbyn only accepted an interview request from Andrew Neil on the condition that Boris Johnson would submit to one as well. He's accusing the BBC and Boris Johnson of being able to choose his platforms. Here's how Boris Johnson responded to that.
I think most people would say that I think I'm the only Prime Minister to have done not one, but by tonight 2 head-to-head debates. I've done 118 sit-down interviews with journalists. I've fielded innumerable questions at press conferences. We cannot accommodate everybody.
Now, this may all be water under the bridge at the end of the day because the BBC is hosting the final debate of this campaign tonight. It is a head-to-head matchup between Jeremy Corbyn and Boris Johnson. It may also be the last chance for Jeremy Corbyn to really make a big mark on this campaign and try to eat away at some of the support from Conservatives and try to prevent Boris Johnson from forming a majority government, Linda.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about what Jeremy Corbyn needs to do in this debate to sway voters, because despite the fact that the Conservatives have not been able to deliver Brexit, it seems that Corbyn and the Labour Party is still lagging behind in the polls.
Yeah, he's got to land some kind of a knockout punch here, or at least he has to have a memorable debate performance to really scrape off some of the support. I think what Jeremy Corbyn's party has been accused of failing to do early on in this campaign is really clarify their position on Brexit. This campaign has really been centered around that one issue. You have the Conservatives and the much smaller Brexit Party promising to actually go through with Brexit and get it done. The Labour, the Scottish National Party, they're wanting a second referendum. And then you have the Liberal Democrats, the center-left party, actually promising to just cancel Brexit altogether if they were to form a majority government. And then the extremely unlikely scenario that they're able to form a majority government. Jeremy Corbyn now says that he would support a second referendum on Brexit after the Labour Party has had a chance to broker a new deal with the European Union, and that he would remain neutral on it in that second referendum in terms of the campaigning. So I think that's probably hurt them right out of the gate. Whether or not this new clarified stance helps, I guess we'll wait and see. We're only just a couple of days away, Lynda.
Yeah, not long to go now. Scott Mclean for us in London. Thank you very much. Well, I want to go to France now, where a nationwide strike is in its second day. Hundreds of thousands of protesters taking to the streets Thursday over President Emmanuel Macron's plan to overhaul the retirement system. Demonstrations were mostly peaceful, but some clashes did break out with riot police firing tear gas at unruly crowds. Well, trade unions vow they will keep up the strikes until the government backs down on pension reform. Well, now to Australia, which is experiencing one of its worst bushfire seasons on record. North of Sydney, several of those fires have come together to form a mega fire that is burning out of control. Firefighters in New South Wales are struggling to contain that one and more than 100 other blazes. The fires, of course, are causing widespread pollution. Well, in northern Russia, the impact of climate change looks entirely different. Dozens of polar bears have invaded a village in search of food. Scientists say the area's unusually warm weather is melting the ice and changing the bears' hunting habits. Well, still ahead here on CNN Newsroom, drought and floods have pushed hundreds of thousands of people from their homes in the Horn of Africa. We're going to have a report from Somaliland. And we're waiting to hear from one of the biggest voices in the battle against climate change as Greta Thunberg in Madrid for the United Nations conference and a big protest march later today.